Hey guys, welcome back. This is the story about what if Naruto had the Jougan. Before we start, please subscribe to the channel and like the video as well, it really means a lot. So let's start the what if. Two shinobi made their way to the fighting arena. One in trepidation. Kazama Naruto. The other with anticipation. Sabaku no Gaara. The former had defeated perhaps the greatest prodigy in the esteemed first clan of Konohagakure no Sato, Hyuga Niji. Not to mention one of the best taijutsu specialists Konoha had ever produced since Madogai, Rock Lee. The later had beaten the last scion of an equally prestigious, but dwindling, noble clan as the previously mentioned noble Konoha shinobi, making him submit in front of all of his zealous supporters. Uchiha Sasuke. They shared that same fate. Destiny had conspired that their paths would cross. Both saddled with a burden they neither wanted nor needed. Hated by many, cherished by so few. Monster. Demon. Jinchuriki. One was eventually accepted. Saved from his own darkness, making it his goal to protect those he held precious at all costs. Yes, you're right, a demon would do that. But he is not the Kyubi no Yoku, but Uzumaki Naruto, shinobi of Konoha. Don't touch Iruka-sensei, or I'll kill you. The other was cast down. Left alone to face his demons alone, his goal in life to eradicate all others, to prove that only the strong deserve to live. To prove that love was but a mere illusion, becoming the monster the citizens of Sunagakure no Sato had believed him to be since the moment of his birth. I stole my mother's life and was created to become the village's masterpiece. Kazama. When I have finished with the Uchiha, I will kill you. One was created from a sacrifice of love and dedication, from the need to protect. I am sorry, my son. The other, out of ambition and greed, from the need of power and status. Born out of hatred and malice. No one has ever truly loved you. Not even I, no matter how much I tried. This is it. Please. Die. One looked into the darkness, in fear, intimidated by the resurfacing feelings long forgotten. The other stared into the light, in contempt, jealousy and hatred festering as others received the love he had been long denied. The two combatants stood in the middle of the arena motionlessly. Naruto was trembling slightly, his right arm twitching in anticipation as jolts of black energy shoot up his arm. Gaara was looking rather apathetic, but the eager gleam in his eye was unmistakable. His sanity was barely contained. Hokage Dano, this should prove to be a most interesting match, commented the Kazekage. After all, both combatants have defeated two members of your most prestigious clans. The winner of this match could easily decided the winner of the whole tournament. Don't count out Aburame-kun and Haruno-chan just yet, Kazekage Dano, said Sarutobi. I agree that Gaara-kun and Naruto-kun are easily the most powerful genin left in the tournament, but if I know Naruto, win or lose, he will do his best to push Gaara past his limits. The both of them may not be even able to press on past this match, making the Aburame/Haruno match the final match deciding the tournament. The Kazekage chuckled, trust me, I don't foresee such an anticlimactic ending to such an explosive tournament. Know something I don't, Kazekage Dano? Asked Sarutobi. Much, chuckled the Kazekage. Sarutobi did as well as they continued to watch the match. I hope you all said your goodbyes, commented Sabaku no Kankuro. The Gaki won't survive his match. You shouldn't underestimate Naruto, he's Konoha's most surprising shinobi with good reason, said Kakashi. His funeral. Literally, said Kankuro. How can you say that so? Casually, asked Sakura. Because we know Gaara. It's not often, but more than I'd like, that I see that look in his eye, said Temari. Nothing lives for very long when he's like this. He's barely kept the bloodlust contained the whole last month. I'm surprised he was able to contain it after fighting the Uchiha, as he'd actually managed to not only get past Gaara's Suna no Tate, Shield of Sand, but his Suna no Yoroi, Armor of Sand, as well, even going so far to make Gaara bleed. In retribution for the Uchiha being allowed to live, Shikaku will not allow Kazama to continue to survive much longer, especially with what Kazama-san is. It's the perfect way for Shikaku, through Gaara, to assert his dominance. What do you mean? Asked Tenten. Sakura's eyes widened as she paled. You don't know? Asked Temari. You mean? How? The Yandere was the best seal master in all of the elemental countries. Naruto's seal is far more intricate and complex than Gaara's, commented Kakashi. Any more information than that is classified. Gai-sensei. What are they talking about? Asked Tenten. Choji and Kiba looked just as puzzled. Sachino's eyebrows furrowed in thought, as Shikamaru's eyes widened a bit. Kami. You can't mean. Ino gasped, realizing, at least in part, what they were talking about. It explained the two presences she felt when she was focused on Gaara, as well as the complete change in the feel of Naruto's chakra when it mysteriously changed colors, as well as why Naruto had two different colored chakras in the first place. What was done to them? Gomensei, Yamanaka-san. Commented Kakashi as he pulled up his Hite-Ite, revealing his Sharingan. Ino looked into Kakashi's spinning Sharingan and promptly passed out. Kakashi-sensei, what did you do to Ino? Asked Sakura. Just a simple genjutsu, he lazily commented, pulling down his Hite-Ite. She was becoming hysterical, but she should be fine when she wakes up. Akimichi-san, could you and Izuka-san take Yamanaka to the infirmary? Before you two go. Do not under any circumstances mention any of what just transpired just now to Naruto. He has enough to deal with without episodes like this. He glared at each of them to make sure they all got the message. Also, do not press him for answers. He will tell each of you in his own time. It's a sensitive topic and his is not one to quickly to open up to anyone about it unless absolutely necessary. Is that understood? They all quailed under his glare and answered affirmatively. He then rounded on Temari and Kankuro as the other Kiba and Choji left with Ino. I would appreciate it if you no longer discussed Gaara and Naruto's conditions, as they aren't widely known to many below the age of 20. The glare he gave them left no room from arguing. He wasn't the famous copy for nothing, the man said to have learned and mastered over 1,000 jutsu and #1 jonin of Konohagakure no Sato. Hi! Stuttered Kankuro, while Temari nodded. Guy then muttered to Kakashi, it appears some of our most youthful students are now aware of Naruto's condition, at least in part. It may be best if we revealed it to them. Kakashi shook his head. No, that will be up to Naruto to reveal when he feels it is time. They may not like the fact that Naruto kept something like this from them, said Guy. If they're truly his friends, they'll understand not only about his tenant, but also for not revealing it to them sooner, said Kakashi. I'll have a chat with Naruto about it after the finals. The semi-finals match between Kazama Naruto and Sabaka no Gaara will now begin, shouted Genma, fight. He quickly jumped out of the way, but neither competitor moved against one another. Gaara's face went from being apathetic to that of a slightly crazed smirk. Naruto tensed as sand started pouring from Gaara's gourd. Make me feel alive. As he shouted this, streams of sand shot out at Naruto. Naruto! Look out, shouted Sakura. Naruto's Jougan started to glow dimly, and he avoided the first two streams and dematerialized when the third one almost impaled him through the stomach, only to rematerialize on top of it and started running at Gaara. A fourth stream of sand shot at Naruto, who countered with a Kenjutsu attack. Jujin Yaiba Sen. The purplish-blue beam of chakra sliced the tendril in half. Naruto then started to drag the tip of the Shuriken no Rijin behind him. The tendril of sand beneath him then collapsed in a heap of sand, causing him to become off-balanced. Another tendril of sand shot at Naruto, and he narrowly evaded it only to be hit square in the chest by a follow-up one. He was sent crashing into the arena wall, dropping his sword on impact. Damn it! He cursed. Kazama! Die! Shouted Gaara as the sand came back to him, swirling around before forming a much larger column of sand that was sent careening towards Naruto. Naruto glared at Gaara while holding onto his ribs. His Jougan began to glow brightly and he jumped high into the air at the sand column crashed into the wall. Gukatun, Inochi and Kuno Kabushi, shouted Naruto as he descended on Gaara, his whole right arm ablaze. Before he could get close, however, a tendril of sand whipped out and struck Naruto from the side, batting him away from Gaara. I can't do it. Naruto whispered hopelessly to himself. Is this my limit? He tried to stand, but fell to one knee holding onto his ribs. Damn it. Naruto, get up, shouted Sakura pleadingly. Gaara, meanwhile, let out a roaring laugh. Is this all the great Kazama line has to offer? Is that the best you can do? He taunted Naruto, you're almost not worth killing. Another tendril of sand shot out at Naruto. He moved to dodge, but was still clipped in the side. Another tendril followed up and Naruto was struck directly, his body was slammed unmercifully against the wall. Naruto gasped to catch his breath, spitting out blood as he coughed. Pathetic. Weak, taunted Gaara. Where is that great power I felt? Where is that bloodlust, that fury? I want to feel alive. I want to give Mother a worthy sacrifice. Pain shot up through Naruto's right arm. When he gripped it, he felt the seals warming up. He watched a black tendril shoot through his arm. As I am now. I can't beat him. Thought Naruto, unless. He looked at his arm. Gomensai. Gaara. Naruto slowly stood up. Come on Naruto, cheered Sakura. Tenten's eyes widened when she saw what Naruto had planned. She gasped when he ripped off a seal and then another. Naruto, stop. Tenten, asked Sakura. Remember that jutsu Naruto used in the forest? Asked Tenten. How could I forget? Sakura responded. Naruto's arm still isn't fully recovered from it. If he uses it again, at best, he'll lose the ability to ever use that arm again, said Tenten. More than likely though, he'll lose the arm completely. Or he'll die. Sakura was horrified at the news. And only became more horrified as Naruto ripped off a couple more seals. Gaara was having none of that. Already tendrils of sand were being launched at Naruto, preventing him from ripping off any more seals off of his bandages. Why don't you fight back? Asked Gaara. Have you truly reached your limit? Damn it. At least Sasuke was able to land a hit on this guy. I haven't been able to do anything against him. Thought Naruto angrily. Naruto's arm twitched again as pain shot up his arm. The dragon is becoming more and more impatient. I am nowhere near ready to use it again. Gaara then smirked. I know you're powerful. But you lack motivation. Tendrils of sand swirled around Gaara. He then looked up at the competitor's box where Sakura and Tenten were standing. I've got a bad feeling about this, said Sakura. Suna Shuriken, Sand Shuriken, shouted Gaara. Both Sakura and Tenten's eyes widened at the oncoming attack. It was unexpected and both were rooted in place. Fortunately for them, Guy and Kakashi saved their respective students. What the hell do you think you're doing? Your fight is with me, Teimei, shouted Naruto at Gaara. Motivating you, answered Gaara with a sick smile. You're powerful. I can feel it. Yet, you do not fight me like you do the others, said Gaara. I can smell it, your fear. What is it that you're afraid of? Nothing, shouted Naruto defiantly. I'm not afraid of anything. You lie, said Gaara, and I hate liars. What is it, Kazama? What is it about me that you fear so much? Is it my strength, my power? No, you could match it if you wanted to. Naruto grit his teeth. The Jougan flared and in a blur of motion he charged Gaara, but was swatted away by a tendril of sand. Naruto went tumbling, but threw out his arm and flipped to steady himself. Fear, desperation. Strange. You are like me. Yet different somehow. Gaara noted. I'm nothing like you, shouted Naruto. Gaara merely smirked. Is that so? Is that your fear? Then I will kill you. Gaara began to laugh hysterically. A tendril of sand shot out at Naruto, who hastily dodged it only to be slammed back against the wall by a second tendril. Then once you're dead, I shall kill each of the others, one by one. Mother will bathe in their blood. No. I won't let you, shouted Naruto, wiping the blood from his mouth. Then, stop me, said Gaara. Fight me. Unleash the demon inside of you. Many around the arena froze at that statement. The collective audience seemed to hold in their breath. No, whispered Naruto shakily. Gaara raised an eyebrow. Speak up, Kazama. I didn't quite hear you. No, shouted Naruto, I'm nothing like you. No matter how much I wanted to. No matter how much I hated them, no matter how much I wanted someone to acknowledge me. I never gave in. Not once. I have precious people now. People who saved me from my darkness. People who accepted me for who I am, not what I am. Sakura-chan up there. One of the people you tried to hurt. She accepted me, was willing to be my friend because she saw me not the demon all these other people claimed I was. And Sasuke Tame. He did too. I won't let you harm them. But I won't become you. I won't become a monster because that's what everyone else sees me as. Because I am Kazama Naruto, future Hokage of Konohagakure no Sato, and if you even think of harming any more of my precious people, I will kill you. Naruto had gradually been gaining strength as his speech went on, and by the end the Jougan was blazing a bright teal color and his azure blue eyes had become slightly slitted. When he shouted the last part, he vanished. Gaara's eyes widened in fear as he could no longer keep track of Naruto's movements. Naruto's bandaged fist rematerialized inches in front of Gaara's face only to be blocked by a wall of sand. Naruto used the momentum of his recoiling fist to do a spinning kick to Gaara's head, much like Sasuke had before. His movements are similar to Sasuke's, but they lack speed, the practiced grace of the Uchiha and the devastating power of Mai Li, observed Guy. Taijutsu has never been a strong point of Naruto's, said Kakashi. While it has gotten better, he would probably do much better under your tutelage, as Naruto's ninjutsu is quite strong, and Jiraiya-sama and myself each have a plan on what Naruto should learn next. He has already proved himself ready to learn it. You don't mean that jutsu? Asked Guy. Of course, said Kakashi, you can't deny he isn't ready for it, even more so than Sasuke with the Chidori and Lee with the Hashiman. Naruto jumped back realizing taijutsu would not work against Gaara. He quickly realized that both Sasuke and Lee had an advantage in that particular field over him. However, he still had his sword. He then back-flipped to where he first hit the wall and picked up his sword. Let's see how you take this, shouted Naruto as he channeled chakra through the Shuriken no Ryujin. He charged Gaara, who sent more sand at Naruto. Naruto sliced the first column in half and jumped out of the way of the second one, onto a third one and resumed his charge. Impossible. He's completely changed, stuttered Temari, fearing the worst for her brother. Because he's Kazama Naruto, and he doesn't know how to lose, said Sakura with a smirk. Naruto jumped onto a fourth tendril and then back onto the third as a fifth one lashed out at him. His blade sliced right through it, and Gaara's eyes became more and more desperate to draw more of Naruto's blood. Seeing Naruto coming closer and closer, Gaara formed the orb cocoon around his body as Naruto stabbed at him. The orb, this time, was bigger to try and stop the incoming sword. I've seen this trick already. But I've got something new, shouted Naruto as he began releasing a few more seals from the bandages on his right arm which was gripped tightly on his sword. Naruto winced in pain as each on came off. Black lightning charged up through his arm and down the length of the blade. Naruto's not. That move could hurt him, shouted Sakura. The Myu-Enku no Doragon crippled him last time. No. Look at what Naruto is doing. This attack is similar, but not the same. He's not channeling the darkness flame into his arm this time, observed Kakashi. Watch. Naruto's Jougan was glowing brightly as Naruto shouted out. Kenjutsu, Muenku no Ken, Sword Art, Sword of the Darkness Flame. Pure chakra surged down Naruto's arm and into the Shuriken no Ryujin. They could all feel the power behind the attack. The exposed part of the blade was engulfed in purplish-black flames, and Naruto slashed the blade upwards, freeing it completely. The sword was completely ablaze with the darkness flame. No. No way. An attack like that, said Tenten astonishedly. Naruto then slashed at the orb trying to get to Gaara when it exploded. His new technique was cancelled as he released his blade. As the dust settled, Naruto stood up to see Gaara half engulfed in his own sand. You are definitely a worthy opponent, Kazama, said Gaara in a crazed rage. It will be with you that my existence will be proven. Bring it on. I'll show you what it truly means to be strong, challenged Naruto. Off in the distance, Haku smiled. Finally, you will become strong, Naruto-kun, now that you finally understand. He then leapt off into the distance, as he had only stopped for a moment to check on Naruto's match. Haku looked back once more. Protect your precious people, Naruto-kun. I am what it means to be strong, shouted Gaara. My strength is my own. You are nothing compared to me. I thought so too, admitted Naruto, because we're so much alike. It blinded me to my own power. I saw how strong you had become on your own, as you were lost in your own darkness. I forgot my own strength and everything I gained. I thought to be as strong as you, I'd have to become you. To beat a monster, I had to become a bigger monster, but then I realized I'm already stronger than you. Naruto looked at the crowd. While many of these people hated me for something I had no control over, like the people of Suna hated you, I had people who accepted me. But who accepted you? Who didn't look at you with fear or hatred? Who saw beyond the demon at the boy underneath, crying out for someone, anyone, to love him like anyone else? First was Hokage Ojaizen. It was because of him that I dreamed of winning people's respect by becoming Hokage. Then Ichiraku Ojaizen and Ayam-chan gave me more hope that people might actually see me one day. But it was Irika Sensei, one of the people who had the most reason to hate me, that had accepted me. It was then that I was saved from my darkness. Then came along Kakashi Sensei, and Sasuke Tame, Sakura-chan, Haku, Konohamaru and his friends. I've become friends with Tenten and I have Ero Sennin, and Hayate Sensei and even Genkai Oben. But who? Who do you have? Shut up, shouted Gaara enraged. Gaara launched himself at Naruto, who jumped over the Sunagenin and fellow Jinchuriki, using the boy's head as a springboard. Gaara's sand-made fist crashed into the wall. It's not too late, said Naruto, fight it. Gaara's uncovered hand went to his head. No. No. I must kill you. Gaara sent the sand arm at Naruto, who dodged by jumping up and slashing it in half. Do you know what the true difference between us, Gaara? Asked Naruto, who watched as the sand reformed Gaara's arm and continued to form a leg around Gaara's right one. You are the demon. For a moment, Naruto saw the look of betrayal in Gaara's eyes. You are the demon because you give in too easily, added Naruto, you let it control you. Fight the demon, protect those who you might find precious one day. Shut up, shouted Gaara, whose hand was clutching his chest. He then launched into the air, his sand-covered arm cocked back. Naruto back-flipped out of the way as Gaara's fist created a large crater. I have none precious to me except mother. She calls for your blood. Gaara lunged at Naruto, who continued to dodge as Gaara made yet another hole in the stadium wall. Fight back, demanded Gaara as he swung his fist at Naruto, who jumped back. Let me be your friend. Let me be your first precious person, said Naruto as Gaara's lumbering fist. The sand had covered Gaara almost completely except the boy's left arm, shoulder and face. "Die!" shouted Gaara as the second arm formed. It struck Naruto in the midsection, slamming him into the wall. "Naruto!" shouted Tenten and Sakura. Gaara cocked back his sandy right fist and slammed it into Naruto's ribs. "Fight back!" shouted Gaara as his left slammed into Naruto again. Naruto coughed up a large amount of blood. "Only if you start." Naruto's sentence was cut off when Gaara's right fist slammed into him. "What the hell is he doing?" yelled Sakura in tears. "He's just letting Gaara pound him." It was taking Kakashi's full restraint to not interfere himself. "He's proving a point." "Why?" demanded Sakura. "Because while Gaara-san and Naruto are very different, they are still very much the same," said Guy. Naruto-kun believes that like himself, Gaara can be saved as well, so he's going to do everything within his power to do so. Even at the cost of his own life. "You mean?" said Tenten wide-eyed. "Yes. If need be, Naruto will die for Gaara," said Kakashi. "That's insane," shouted Temari. "Why would he do that?" "Because Naruto understands Gaara. He understands the constraints of being a Jinchuriki and everything that comes along with it," said Kakashi. "Whether he realizes it or not, he's different from all others, Shinobi and Jinchuriki alike. What seems so simple to him is unfathomable to others. In truth, Naruto is a horrible Shinobi. However, when the time comes, what makes him a horrible Shinobi will make him the perfect Hokage." "I'll fight back." "If you start fighting back," gasped Naruto. Gaara then grabbed Naruto and flung him across the stadium. Naruto bounced bonelessly off the ground, landing in a disgruntled heap. Naruto slowly rose, grabbing his ribs as sand had fully engulfed the Suna Jinchuriki. "Go ahead. Kill me," said Naruto, smirking. "With pleasure," said Shikaka Gaara. "But you'll prove nothing," said Naruto. "Kill me now, prove to everyone you're just a monster. Sure, you killed a strong opponent, one who was even stronger than you. But all you really proved is that you are nothing more than a monster who kills defenseless children. You're not proving your existence. You're proving the demons." "Shut up," shouted Shikaka Gaara. He then backhanded Naruto across the stadium. "Before I die, answer me," panted Naruto. "Which are you? Are you Shikaku the Sand Demon? Or are you Sabaku no Gaara? Kill me, become the demon you despise even more than those villagers. Or fight the demon and gain a precious person, someone who understands what it's like to both be alone and feared and hated by everyone." Shikaka Gaara lifted his arm into the air. I am. The sand began to break apart. "I am Sabaku no Gaara. Proctor. I concede. Good. I wasn't ready to die yet. I haven't become Hokage yet," said Naruto as he collapsed. He was caught by a tendril of sand. "Arigato. Gaara." "No. Arigato. Kazama Naruto," said Gaara quietly. "Wow. He's even got me believing he'll be Hokage," thought Genma, still. Amazing. The winner of the semi-finals match between Kazama Naruto and Sabaku no Gaara. Kazama Naruto. The entire stadium literally exploded in applause. The sound was loud enough to startle both of the competitors. "Gaara. Do you hear that?" said Naruto. It's just the beginning. Just remember, no matter how dark it gets, you're not lost as long as there's just a flicker of light left." Gaara looked around wide-eyed as the audience roared in approval. This is for us. Let's show them. Show them all, we're not demons," said Naruto as he began to stand on his own power. Naruto stuck his hand out to Gaara. Gaara looked at it confusedly. "Shake it," Gaara hesitantly took Naruto's hand. The applause of the audience only got louder. "That is Naruto's special ability," said Kakashi with pride, a power that not even his father had. In a single match, Naruto not only changed Gaara, but the perceptions of many around him. Not for his own sake, but Gaara's too, as well as helped your brother fight his own demon. Kankuro looked to be in shock at what had happened as Temari discreetly wiped a tear from her eye. Finally, I have my Otuto back. Arigato. Kazama Naruto." It wasn't long when feathers began to descend upon the unsuspecting cheering fans. An eerie silence began to fill the arena. "Kazama Naruto. Your village is in danger," said Gaara emotionlessly. "Yeah, I got that from the genjutsu," said Naruto sarcastically. "For what you have done for me, I will aid you," said Gaara. Suddenly, there was an explosion in the Hokage's box. "Oji-san," shouted Naruto as he moved to where the Hokage was facing off with the familiar Orochimaru. The wounds inflicted on him by Gaara prevented him from actually doing so. "Damn it. Rest, I shall take care of everything," Gaara told him. "Like hell." "Kuchio Seno Jutsu," shouted Naruto as several Suna and Otonin landed in the arena. Before they could attack, the toad Naruto summoned lashed out his tongue and Gaara's sand started spilling out of his gourd. "Gamamusha, Toad Warrior, we need to get to the Hokage now." Suddenly, there was an explosion in the Hokage's box. "Oji-san," shouted Naruto as he moved to where the Hokage was facing off with the familiar form of Orochimaru. The wounds inflicted on him by Gaara prevented him from actually doing so. "Damn it. Rest, I shall take care of everything," Gaara told him. "Like hell. Kuchio Seno Jutsu," shouted Naruto as several Suna and Otonin landed in the arena. Before they could attack, the toad Naruto summoned lashed out his tongue and Gaara's sand started spilling out of his gourd. "Gamamusha, Toad Warrior, we need to get to the Hokage now." "Hi," responded Gamamusha, "hop on." He flicked out his tongue and grabbed Naruto's sword from where he dropped it. Naruto did so and took the sword from his summon and then turned to Gaara. "Coming? I'll hold off any pursuers, Kazama, go," said Gaara calmly, but Naruto could tell he was eager to fight as sand spilled from the gourd on his back. "Musha, you heard him," shouted Naruto and the massive frog leapt into the air. Several shinobi jumped down into the arena at that point only to be knocked away by Gaara's sand. Many, Naruto noticed, had Oto Hiteite as well as Suna ones. Naruto would have to ask Gaara about that later. For now, it just wasn't important. At least to him anyways. Moments after Naruto had left, both Temari and Kankuro approached Gaara hesitantly. "Gaara, what the hell are you doing?" asked Kankuro. "This wasn't the plan." "Plans change," said Gaara coldly, "do not interfere. Or I will kill you." Both of Gaara's siblings quailed in fear under his cold gaze. Halfway across town, the academy students were being evacuated into the tunnels below the Hokage monument. However, the students were very unaware of the fact they were being evacuated. "Damn it. Too bad Irika-sensei had to find us. I really wanted to watch boss fight," complained Konohamaru. "How do you think he's gonna do?" asked Udon. "You're kidding, right?" asked Konohamaru incredulously. "He's gonna kick all of their asses, because he's the boss." "Konohamaru, mind your language," scolded Irika. "Gomen, Irika-sensei," the Hokage's grandson muttered. "Konohamaru-kun is right, there is no way Naruto and Ai-chan could possibly lose," exclaimed Moegi. Konohamaru grinned at Moegi, who blushed in embarrassment. When Irika caught it, he couldn't help but be reminded of his former student and wondered, much like his current students, how Naruto was faring. Suddenly he was distracted by the sound of cracking stone. The face of the Sandaime Hokage had become cracked down the center of his face. Sarutobi had watched as his guards were easily taken out and driven back to a nearby roof by his former prized student. "Sensei, it ends here," said Orochimaru confidently, Konoha will fall and your legacy will burn to the ground. You never did understand, did you, Orochimaru? Asked Sarutobi, for as brilliant and as talented as you were, you never saw what was right in front of you. The will of fire burns brightly in each Konohanin. As long as a breath remains in one of them, Konoha will never truly fall. Even if you strike me down, the will of fire will live on. Erasure understood this better than anyone, which is why I chose him to become my successor over you or anyone else. Hollow meaningless words, scoffed Orochimaru, but know this, the will of fire will be extinguished upon your death. Of that I'll make certain. So cling to whatever hope you have, as it is all you have left. Tell me, Orochimaru, how is it that your arm is restored? Asked Sarutobi. From the report given to me by both Enko and Team 7, you should have been irreparably crippled. A brilliant combination of Tsunade Zaijutsu, healing technique, Jiraiya Fuinjutsu, seal technique, and my own genius if I do say so myself, said a grinning Orochimaru. However, we were not discussing my brilliance, but our own dance of death and Konoha's ultimate destruction. I made a mistake when I let you go all those years ago, Orochimaru, said Sarutobi. I will rectify that now. Hokage-sama, shouted the leader of the Anbu squad. He had on a white robe vice the black ones the others wore. We have to help him, said another. No, that barrier will incinerate anything that comes in contact with it, said the leader. There was a booming impact nearby. The squad turned to the source and saw a very familiar sight that gave them all flashes of déjà vu. What they saw was a very determined Naruto, Jougan blazing a bright teal color, while sitting atop of a massive Gamma summon. They could help but think about how much like the Yandere he looked just then. We've got to help Aji-san, he shouted. We can't get through the barrier, said the leader, anything that touches it will be incinerated, observe. The Anbu flicked a shuriken into his hand and threw it at the barrier. They all watched as it disintegrated into nothingness. Naruto shouted, we can't just leave him in there. He's the Hokage with good reason, Kazama, scolded the Anbu captain, he'll be able to take care of himself. We'll have to wait until the battle concludes, one way or the other. Naruto growled, you might be fine with just doing nothing, but I'm going in there. Naruto then began channeling his chakra, and then cycling through hand seals. Gukatun, Inochi Kinhushaki. Naruto thrust his hands forward, a stream of black and orange fire striking the barrier to no avail. Naruto growled in frustration as the only evidence of his attack was that the spot he attacked was smoking. Damn it! Gukatun, Inochi Kinhushaki. He repeated his previous actions with the same effect. I applaud your determination, but there are few jutsu that could actually penetrate or get around that barrier, said the Anbu captain. It's one of the strongest containment jutsus in existence. The fact that the four of them can maintain two simultaneously says a lot about their skill. Unless you're familiar with your father's personal jutsus, there is no getting through. The Gaki is quite persistent, but he won't break through the barrier. Even if he does somehow manage, you'll be dead before he and the others can be of any help, said Orochimaru confidently. Enough talk, this ends now, Orochimaru, shouted Sarutobi, Kuchios no Jutsu. A puff of smoke surrounded the Sandaime Hokage, and when it cleared the mighty Emna could be seen standing next to him. So it's finally time, Sarutobi, said Enma with approval. Sarutobi nodded. Very well. Henge, Konganyuni, transformation, adamantine staff. A puff of smoke saw the Saru boss transform into a long staff that hovered into the awaiting hand of the Sandaime Hokage. Sarutobi twirled Enma, now in staff form, around to get a feel for the staff, as it had been some time since he and Enma last fought together and even longer since he had used the Saru boss in staff form. Kusanagi no Tsurugi, Ku no Tachi, shouted Orochimaru, who then opened his mouth wide for a snake's head to pop out of his mouth. The serpent then opened its deadly maw to reveal the hilt of a sword, as had been done during the Sanin's encounter with Team 7 within the Forest of Death. Much like Sarutobi had done before, Orochimaru twirled his sword around, taking a few practice swings with his new right arm, before sliding into a defensive stance. The Kusanagi glowed brightly for a short moment as Orochimaru smirked. Let us begin this final dance of death. All over Konohagakure battles were taking place in the streets, on rooftops, and just about anywhere else one could think of. "We're being pushed back," shouted one Chunin. "We've lost sectors 37 and 39. See if we can't cut them off in the next alley," said a Jonin as the small group was suddenly ambushed by a medium-sized detachment of Oto and Suna Shinobi. "Damn it! Well, look at what we got here," said the leader, a Sunanin, confidently. Suddenly, the entire area was shrouded in an icy mist. "You have invaded my new home and are trying to hurt my precious people. This I cannot allow," said a voice echoing in the mist. Screams pierced the air and the mist cleared. Not far off, was a feminine-looking boy holding a few senbon in his hand. Much to the relief of the small Konoha detachment, he bore a Konoha Haite. Each of the ambushers had senbon sticking out of various places in their bodies, effectively disabling them. "They should be down for some time," said Haku assuringly as he and the others went to retake the lost sectors. Hayate and Genma were working in perfect tandem, taking out nin after nin. Genma spit out the senbon that was in his mouth at an enemy Sunanin, who easily deflected it only to be left open for Hayate's attack. "Ten no Kenbo, Goat Tsurugi Dejiki, Sword Dance of the Heavens, 5-sword strike," shouted Hayate. He elbowed his victim in the gut and followed up with a devastating high kick to the chin, knocking him up into the air. He then threw his sword up into the air, which narrowly missed his enemy. Hayate jumped at his opponent, grabbing a single energy blade out of the air, slashing his midsection. As it dissipated, he spun around and grabbed 2 more energy swords, slashing at his opponent before grabbing the last energy sword and stabbing his opponent with it in the back as he grabbed his sword, slicing the enemy nin in half. "Somehow, even though you managed to stay up in the air for the entire attack, it looked more impressive when the kid did it," said Genma. Hayate coughed. "Even so, I taught him everything he knows." "I'm sure Kakashi-senpai and Jiraiya-sama would disagree," said Genma. Hayate just shrugged. The prior generation's Inoshikacho formation were showing off exactly why they were considered one of the greatest teams in not only Konoha history, but Shinobi history as well, as their teamwork surpassed all others. "Just like old times, boys," shouted Chuza with enthusiasm. "It seems rather troublesome, really," Shikaku said lazily. "I'd rather be drinking right now." "Admit it, this is the most fun we've had in years," shouted Inoichi, taking out another enemy. A teenage girl was running from a group of Otonin as she had gotten separated from her evacuation group. She ran into a nearby alley and the Otonin continued to pursue. "Shotgun, shotgun," came a shout from the alleyway. There was a flash of light as dozens of blue beams shot out from the abandoned alley, as did the young girl's pursuers. Out of the alleyway walked the Rei Sennin, Genkai, dimwits, can't even see through a simple henge. Pathetic. A loud explosion was heard in the distance. Genkai jumped onto the rooftops and saw the east wall being partially demolished by 3 Hibi summons. "Damn it. If I still had my power, a summon battle would be no sweat. I'll have to figure out how to take M down some other way." She then watched as another figure took to the rooftops. She let a small smile grace her aged features. "We can't hold the wall," shouted a Jonin. He sailed through the rooftops, running from the east wall. A loud explosion alerted everyone to the presence of 3 massive Hibi summons. "We can't take them," shouted a Chunin. "Look, it's Jiraiya-sama," shouted another Shinobi. Cheers went up as the Gamma Sennin made his dramatic appearance on the rooftops. The 3 summons were making their way through the now gaping hole in the village walls. Biting down on his thumb, he ran through a few hand seals. Kuchios, Yatai Kazushi no Jutsu, summoning, food cart destroyer technique. "The jutsu was a dud," shouted a Sunanin. "I expected more from the famous Gamma Sennin," bragged a nearby Otonin. Suddenly, a massive toad came sailing from the sky, crashing into the 3 snakes. Various curses could be heard as the mass of assembled Suna and Otonin were scattered. Back at the Chunin exam stadium, a green blur was seen moving throughout the stands. Konoha de Zenpu, shouted Madogai as he kicked 3 enemy shinobi out of the air. Landing, he gave his eternal rival, Hatake Kakashi, a dazzling smile that pinged as he struck that nice guy pose. Rival Kakashi, how many have you taken out? Kakashi had his Haite pulled up, revealing his Sharingan and a kunai in his right hand. He blocked a shuriken that came at his head. Turning to Guy, he answered, 47. Ha, ha, the fires of my passionate youth burn much more brightly than yours, for I have taken out 49, pronounced Guy. Kakashi grabbed an attacking shinobi by the wrist with his left hand and spun around. He then hit his attacker in the back of the head with his left elbow. He then turned to Guy with a lazy expression on his face. Did you say something, Guy? Ah! Rival Kakashi and your ultra-hip and modern ways, exclaimed Guy. Orochimaru parried blow after blow of Sarutobi's staff as the Sandaime drove him back. Orochimaru blocked a rather devastating blow from the Sandaime, only to be punched in the face by his staff. Orochimaru jumped back and thrust out his left hand. Sanai Jashu. 9 snakes shot from Orochimaru's sleeves at Sarutobi. The Sandaime flipped backwards and, his own hands speeding through hand seals as Enma hovered not too far away from him. Ninpu, Kawara Shuriken, Ninja Art, Tile Shuriken. Tiles began to rise up from the roof and speed towards Orochimaru. The snakes struck Sarutobi at various places on his body, injecting their lethal poison into him. He winced in pain only to crumble into a pile of mud. The tiles sliced right through Orochimaru's body only to find that he too crumbled into a pile of mud. Still haven't lost your touch, Sarutobi-sensei, but I fear it will not be enough, said Orochimaru, jumping from his hiding place. On the contrary, I think it will be more than enough, said Sarutobi, also jumping out from his hiding spot. He began to speed through hand seals. Orochimaru, in an attempt to stop Sarutobi, shouted out, Sanai Jashu. Snakes shot from Orochimaru's arms again. Doton, Doria Hiki, Earth Release, Earth Style Wall, shouted Sarutobi as he kneeled down and his hands touched the rooftop. He opened his mouth and mud began to spill forth from his mouth. The mud formed a wall and the snakes struck the wall. Sarutobi jumped up to the top of the wall again, running through hand seals. Katan, Karyudan no Jutsu. He then released a flaming dragon out of his mouth that sped towards his former student. Orochimaru thrust out his right hand. Chakra no Tate, Shield of Chakra. His arm began to glow and a translucent dome appeared in front of him that protected him from the Sandaime's flaming dragon. Gukatan, Inochi Enku no Kabushi, shouted Naruto as he charged the barrier. The Ayanbu grabbed onto the boy before he could reach the barrier with his supercharged melee jutsu. Let me go. Quit being foolish, you're only going to get yourself killed, scolded one of the Ayanbu. We all know you're strong, stronger than most other genin, but not even the mortal flame has an effect on the barrier. Charging at it like that will only ensure your death. I've still got one trick I haven't tried, said Naruto as the purplish chakra cocoon started to surround him. He drew the Shuriken no Rujin. Kenjutsu, Muenku no Ken. Purplish black flames engulfed the blade of Naruto's katana. The Ayanbu looked as if they were going to try and stop Naruto from charging the barrier again, but Naruto's newest jutsu gave them second thoughts. Naruto swung the inflamed blade down on the barrier wall. There was a surge of energy. The backlash of Naruto's sword hitting the barrier threatened to push him back, but utilizing everything he gained from the tree walking exercise allowed Naruto to stay rooted in place. The Ayanbu and many of the others in the arena could only watch in amazement as the barrier cracked. The flaming blade began to dig deeper into the barrier. Naruto grit his teeth in concentrated determination, however, his eyes widened when he saw a crack appear in his sword. The Kusanagi flew through the air, the blade glowing brightly. Sarutobi's eyes widened as he saw the blade coming straight for him. Before the blade could impale the Sandaime, an arm reached out and snatched the sword out of the air. Sarutobi, finish it, shouted Enma. Sarutobi then threw 6 shuriken at Orochimaru. Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. Much like Kazama Naruto's earlier match with Hyuga Niji, each shuriken multiplied by 10. Orochimaru sunk into the ground and the shuriken became embedded in the rooftop where he once stood. The Kusanagi began to glow again and the handle came alive and bit Enma's wrist. Ow! The Saru boss let go of the Kusanagi, but instead of clattering on the ground it remained floating in the air. The blade then spun around towards the Sandaime, but before the Hokage could react, several snakes shot up from the ground holding him in place and unable to use any jutsus. The sword glided to where Sarutobi stood secured in place. The blade had lightly penetrated his armor and had embedded itself an inch into his chest before Enma had gotten a hold of the blade once more. Cursed ape! I have had enough of your interference, shouted Orochimaru as snakes began to wrap around the Saru boss summon. Before Orochimaru could deal with Enma, a large explosion caught them all off guard. 57, 58, 59, rival Kakashi, shouted Guy taking out 3 more Shinobi. 59, 60, said Kakashi throwing one nin into another. You may have the lead now, my eternal rival, but in the end I shall be victorious, shouted Guy. Did you say something? Asked Kakashi. Guy growled in frustration. Curse you and your ultra-hip ways, Kakashi. Kakashi then looked towards the Hokage's box where Naruto and his summon had went to. It looks like Naruto is almost through. He noted. We should get up there to back the Ayanbo up. Orochimaru is dangerous enough on his own, but with his subordinates up there, the Ayanbo and Naruto will need all the help they can get. Our youthful students are fighting quite well in any case, though I would feel better about leaving them here alone if Akimichi-kun and Inuzuka-kun hadn't been sent away with the Yamanaka girl, said Guy. True, but Shikamaru seems to be directing combat well enough, with Sakura as the main support for Shino and Tenten. The kid! He's doing it! Said one of the Ayanbo in shock. Naruto was gritting his teeth. The teal glow of his Jougan turning violet. Malicious red chakra began to leak through and bubble through the violet chakra cocoon. What the? Asked an Ayanbo as they saw the transformation. Naruto's sapphire eyes became slitted and blood red, his canines had turned into fangs. The red chakra formed 2 kitsune-like ears on his head and a tail began to sprout from behind him. The barrier began to crack further. Shit! We can't hold it much longer, said the one with 6 arms. You won't stop me, said Naruto defiantly, applying more pressure to his sword. Finally, the outer barrier and the sword both gave as the Shuriken no Rijin snapped in 2 and the Mu and Kuno Ken sliced through the barrier. The backlash from the resulting penetration knocked Naruto and most of the Ayanbo detachment off their feet, as well as knocking 2 of Orochimaru's guards off their feet. Without 2 of their number, the jutsu isolating the Sandaime Hokage and the S-class nuke nin immediately fell. Damn Gaki, growled out Orochimaru, you have interfered for the last time. Orochimaru called the now discarded Kusanagi to him and charged at Naruto, who was barely standing up. Naruto had just enough time to look up to see Orochimaru charging at him. He made one last-ditch effort. Kanashibari no Jutsu, shouted Naruto, his Jougan glowing brightly. Orochimaru stopped for all of half a second, but was able to fight off the jutsu rather quickly, however it was enough. Konoha Shofu, shouted Guy. Orochimaru's current momentum did not allow for any sort of defense and took Guy's attack head-on. Katan, Gokakyu no Jutsu, shouted Kakashi as he pulled his mask down, blowing a fireball at Orochimaru. Orochimaru flipped backwards to evade Kakashi's attack when he was knocked off his feet by Enma. Naruto then charged Orochimaru's downed form, his speed catching everyone by surprise. Naruto brandished his broken katana. You're mine! Kenjutsu, Muenku no Ken. The remains of the blade were engulfed in flames, and the flames extended to just beyond the length of what the entire blade had once been. Orochimaru scrambled to recover, but could not do so in time as Naruto sliced through his left arm. The Sannin screamed out in pain as his left arm was sliced clean through and the stub was scorched by the searing hot purplish-black flames. The others moved to back up Naruto when they were bombarded with several strange-looking arrows. Naruto only had enough time to look in the direction the arrows came from when he took a massive elbow to the face from a big man with an orange mohawk. He was caught by Kakashi and Guy as a pale kid with white hair picked up Orochimaru, and the four of them and their master made their escape. The Ayanbu were about to give chase when a loud roar could be heard from the arena behind them. Kabuto had made a grand escape, having narrowly evaded the infamous Sharingan Kakashi just after he used a mass genjutsu on the entire stadium. Unfortunately, for him, he couldn't leave. Not just yet, so he had to remain hidden in the shadows. The confusion of the battle allowed him to do so. Kazama Naruto had made them resort to one of their backup plans. One Kabuto was certain they wouldn't need given the way Gaara was. To help the Tsunagaki overcome his own demon and even get him to help Konoha in the fight was unfathomable. Yes, Kazama Naruto was more skilled and talented than he had first believed. He was one that definitely needed to be watched. Kabuto ran from his spot in the shadows, weaving his way through Shinobi from Konoha, Suna, and Oto. He pulled something out of a concealed pocket, a piece of paper. A seal with two kanji meaning rage and sleep. Such a seal would be useless on other beings. What was the point of being enraged if you were asleep? However, on Sabaku no Gaara, it was the ultimate design in weapons upgrades. With speed that rivaled Hatake Kakashi and Mato Guy, he sped towards the center of the arena. "Gaara, look out!" shouted Temari. Gaara turned around and directed a spike of sand towards the charging Kabuto, who promptly turned into a log as the sand impaled him. "Too slow, Sabaku-san," said Kabuto, behind Gaara. Gaara turned around, his eyes widened in surprise as Kabuto slapped the seal on his forehead, which resulted in an explosion of sand that knocked Kabuto several yards back. Kabuto smirked in victory and shunshined away, his supplementary mission complete. "Gaara!" shouted Kankuro and Temari, as their youngest brother clutched his head, seemingly in pain as sand engulfed him. "I'm free," shouted Shikaku as he laughed menacingly. Temari, who had raced to her brother, was knocked back with a lumbering solid fist in the wall of the arena. Blood leaked from the corners of her mouth. She attempted to move, but found she could not. "No! Gaara!" Kankuro slowly backed away from Shikaku Gaara, as did many others. "Damn it! The Bijou has taken over again," muttered Kakashi. "We better hurry and take him out now, before he draws on too much of its power." "No! There's something wrong," said Naruto, who was looking at Gaara with his glowing Jougan. Gaara had complete control. "Something is blocking him. Regardless, we still have to do something about him," said Kakashi. A booming roar diverted their attention back to Shikaku Gaara, who was getting larger and larger. "Naruto-san, are you capable of summoning Gamabunta?" asked Enma. I don't know. I've used a lot of chakra. I even had to borrow some from the Kyuubi," answered Naruto honestly. "He's the only one capable of taking on a monstrosity that size left in Konoha," said Enma. "Though I am powerful, being the Saru boss, I am not large enough to fight such an entity. The Inu Contract's boss isn't anywhere near the size needed either, and the Kame boss is only good on the sea. We still have to get him out of the village," said Guy. "A summon battle in the middle of the village would be most disastrous." "I'll take care of it," said Naruto with a cocky grin. He ran and leapt off of the building. He pricked his finger and ran through the hand seals. Kuchios no Jutsu. A large explosion of smoke sent others in the immediate area below flying. "Damn it! I'm tired of getting thrown around down here," shouted Kankuro as he shakily got to his feet, until he looked up and saw the largest toad he had ever seen. Sugoi! More deja vu hit the Konoha Nin as Gamabunta was summoned, Naruto standing on his head with the Jougan blazing brightly staring down the demon that threatened his village. Many were struck with a sense of irony. The other rookies looked on in awe at Naruto's display of power. "I'm impossible," gasped Sakura. "Is that Naruto?" "Incredible," whispered Shikamaru. "This better be good, kid," said the boss summon. "Who do you think I am, Ero Sennin?" asked Naruto, then he pointed to Shikaku. "We've got problems." "Shikaku? The Suna Yukai, Sand Demon. You don't do things by halves, do you, Gaki?" asked Gamabunta. "Before we can go wild, we need to get him out of the village. Any ideas?" asked Naruto. "None, that wouldn't require me to take a lot of damage." "Do you think you could channel its power into me?" asked Gamabunta. "It's about the only shot we have without wrecking the village too much." "I should be able to." "What have you got in mind?" asked Naruto. "Just follow my lead and hold on tight," shouted Gamabunta. "If you two are quite done, I'm bored and I have plenty of blood to spill," shouted Shikaku. "Bring it," challenged Naruto. "Suiton, Teppadama, water release, gunshot," shouted Gamabunta as he and Naruto took to the air. The bullets of water impacted in the stadium around Shikaku, only one made a direct hit. Gamabunta and Naruto landed in the midst of a bunch of houses. "Damn it, I thought you said we wouldn't damage the village." "No, I said we would damage the village as little as possible," replied Gamabunta. "Now get ready. Give me your energy." Naruto made a one-handed ram seal with his right hand and placed his left one on the Gamma boss summon. Ninpu, Kuchios, Yukogama Aiju, Ninja Art, Summoning, Demon Fox Toad Transfer. A large puff of smoke surrounded the pair. Many stood in shock and awe at what they saw. Gamabunta's eyes became slitted and red, like Naruto's, and his whole body seemed to get leaner and more muscled. The spots on his once red cheeks were gone, and in their place was 3 whisker-like marks. In place of his traditional kimono was plated armor covered in spikes. Even his webbed feet had claws on them. His color had gone from being an orangish red to a yellowish orange. "When I give the signal, I want you to start using the mortal flame," ordered Gamabunta, his voice deeper and more menacing, as Shikaku took to the air after them. "Futon, Rankuden, wind release, drilling air bullet," shouted Shikaku as he breathed in deeply, pounding his chest hard. He blew out half a dozen giant bullets of compressed air. "Now, Gamyuden, toad oil bullet," shouted Gamabunta as he spit out a few bullets of oil. Naruto quickly ran through the hand seals. "Gukatun, Inochi and Kuno Kabushi," shouted Naruto, who then threw multiple fireballs at the bullets of oil. "Gukatun, Gameu Inochi Enden, Hellfire Release, Toad Oil Mortal Flame Bullet," shouted both Naruto and Gamabunta simultaneously. The mortal flame bullets impacted with and destroyed the air bullets. 2 impacted with Shikaku's midsection, blowing right through him. Gamabunta's tongue lashed out, wrapping around the currently disabled Shikaku. Jerking his head back, he flung Shikaku into the forest surrounding the village. Gamabunta jumped towards Shikaku in pursuit. The Suna Oni barely recovered enough of his body to evade the lumbering bulk of Gamabunta. "Bunta! We've got to end this soon. I don't know how long I could keep this up," said Naruto, whose voice was becoming strained, his Jougan glowing bright red. "Right," agreed Bunta. "Hey, Gaki. What is that?" Naruto looked at Shikaku and saw the unconscious Gaara on top of Shikaku with a seal on his head. "I thought so. We need to get that seal off of Gaara, it should be enough to contain Shikaku again." "Another Jinchuriki," said Gamabunta. "Yeah, but he's my friend," said Naruto desperately. "Very well, kid, I can get you in close, but if you fail it's going to be bad for us," said Gamabunta. Gamabunta took to the air, shouting, "Gamma Kinhushaki, Toad Flamethrower." He breathed in deeply and expelled a large stream of fire at Shikaku, who jumped back. Gamabunta landed and with speed that belied his size, jumped straight towards Shikaku. He drew his sword, slicing off Shikaku's front paws and slammed into the Suna Oni's torso. Naruto had launched off of Gamabunta before the Toad boss impacted with the demon. "Kage Bunshin no Jutsu," shouted Naruto, who became 100 Narutos. Each scrambled to get to Gaara, who was being protected still by Shikaku. Several even tried using the Kazama Naruto kunai to no avail. With sheer numbers, Naruto was able to get to Gaara and rip the seal from the sleeping boy's head. "Wake up," he shouted, backhanding the boy. Gaara awoke upon the impact of Naruto's fist. "No!" shouted Shikaku desperately as his hold on the outside world had abruptly vanished. He began to instantly crumble. "Damn it," cursed Gamabunta in a pained voice, "it looks like I'm done, kid. That special chakra of yours has put too much strain on my body as well. You won't be able to call me out for a while." The two genin fell from many stories in the air in a rapid free fall. "Damn it!" cursed Naruto in a tired voice. The two were saved when they were snatched out of the air by two wooden figures. "Got them!" shouted a familiar voice. It was Kankuro and his sister Temari, Gaara's older siblings. "Hey! Makeup boy!" said Naruto shakily. "Arigato." Just then others arrived. It was Kakashi, Guy, and a few other jonins that looked familiar to Naruto, but he couldn't identify as his entire world turned black. "We only came for our brother," said Kankuro, who directed his puppet with 6 arms to gently set down Naruto. The girl Temari set her other brother into a long puppet that resembled a giant insect that, if Kakashi guessed right, was mostly for defensive purposes. "Tell Kazama-sama when he awakes." "Thank you," said Temari as she and Kankuro left. "Let them go," said Kakashi. "The invasion is over. We don't need any unnecessary blood to be spilled, theirs or ours." Kakashi scooped up Naruto into his arms and left with the others to the nearest hospital. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed this what if and want to see next part of it, comment down below and let me know. Also share this video with your friends. See you in the next video. Peace.